Hi, this is Dr. Rudra Mandal. Today, I would like to focus on the topic biodiversity and threats to wildlife and nature. The term biodiversity or biological diversity is a variability of taxonomic life forms within a given ecosystem or in a particular area. It refers to the variability of life forms worldwide from all sources, including terrestrial, marine, and aquatic ecosystem. It is assumed that the reason behind this variability is nothing but the evolution of flora and fauna involving the natural selection. World Wildlife Fund for Nature has defined biodiversity in this way. Biodiversity is all the different kinds of life you will find in one area. The variety of animals, plants, fungi, and even microorganisms like bacteria that make up our natural world. Each of these species and organisms work together in the ecosystems like an intricate web to maintain the balance and support the life. There are three levels of biodiversity: ecosystem diversity, the variability of biotic communities in an area; the species diversity, the variability of species in an area; genetic diversity, the variability of genes and the genetic sequences. There are different values of biodiversity. Commercial values. Commercial values includes the wild gene traits for the scientific purpose, apiculture, sericulture, pisciculture, pulp and paper making, furniture making, and the making of textiles. Social values. There are different plants which are worshipped as god. Ecological values. In an ecosystem, in a food chain, if any animal is eliminated from that ecosystem, this ecosystem equilibrium will be damaged. Consumption values. Over 80,000 of plants are edible. More than 95% of plant crops are collected from the forests. 75% of world population are using the medicines which are extracted from the plants found in the forests. What makes biodiversity change? Changing in latitude or altitude. The biodiversity of mountain areas is always lesser than the biodiversity of the plains. Biodiversity increases from poles to the equator. Environmental conditions like rain is the main factor for changing the biodiversity, as the tropical rainforest will show higher biodiversity than the semi-deciduous or dry deciduous forest. High seasonality reduces the biodiversity. If any area faces high seasonality, then the animals and the plants cannot adapt fast with this high seasonality. Hence, the biodiversity becomes low. There are different threats to the biodiversity and wildlife. Pollution, air pollution, water pollution, land pollution due to industrial waste and other pollutants. Habitat loss. Due to the deforestation and destruction of forests, several wild animals loses their habitat. Over exploitation of land. Example, non-sustainable fishing, hunting, and farming is the reason for declining the biodiversity. Invasive species is also a great factor for declining the biodiversity. Climate change, example, extreme weather, rising the sea levels causes the salinity of the increasing the salinity of the water. Due to this fact, the forest lands are submerged with the saline water, resulting in the habitat loss of different wild animals. There are several numbers of threatened animals and species worldwide. To protect the biodiversity, we need to conserve it. Conservation of biodiversity is protection, upliftment, and scientific management of biodiversity. Monitoring plays a principal role in the conservation. Biodiversity monitoring is a crucial aspect of environmental conservation. It involves the systematic collection of data analysis to assess the status and trends of the biodiversity changes in a particular area. Monitoring assesses the changes of biodiversity in its different forms: genes, taxa, structures, functions, and ecosystems. There are different ways of monitoring the biodiversity. The first way is conventional biodiversity monitoring. Conventional biodiversity monitoring depends on the radio trapping or the radio collar system, but point counts, and camera trapping. There are some limitations with this conventional monitoring technique. Conventional monitoring is time consuming, costly, and required proper technical expertise. Biodiversity is represented with several biodiversity indices, which requires vast arithmetic calculations. These traditional methods mostly depended on the visual observation. If any animal is hidden in the jungle or any animal is camouflaging, then this conventional monitoring technique cannot detect these animals. Here comes to acoustic-based biodiversity monitoring. Acoustic-based monitoring refers to the biodiversity monitoring through sounds produced by the animals in the forest. Biodiversity or species monitoring through acoustic is a revolutionary method that has gained significant attention in recent years. Acoustic-based monitoring uses bioacoustic characteristics of animals. What is bioacoustics? Bioacoustics is the study of animal sounds and their use in anticipating their feeding, their mating, territorial disputes, even the predator-prey relationships within an ecosystem, which is crucial for understanding the ecological processes and designing effective conservation strategies, harnessing a number of eco-acoustic indices. This is the spectrogram representations of different bird species through which we can calculate the biodiversity. There are some acoustic-based monitoring indices. Those are as follows. Acoustic richness indices, which is used to determine the vocal richness of local communities. Acoustic complexity index, acoustic diversity index, acoustic evenness index, bioacoustic index, which is used for the biological animals monitoring. Acoustic entropy indicates near silent recordings. Acoustic indices such as acoustic entropy and acoustic complexity index can act as good indicators of biodiversity. Issues with this recent bioacoustic application. Biodiversity monitoring through acoustics have several drawbacks because there are some research gaps in bioacoustic studies. And most of the studies used the fundamental frequencies only. And it was found that several animals show similar fundamental frequency. There are few information and databases available about the acoustic characteristics of wild animals. Hence, comparison and detection of the community using acoustics are the major challenges. Elephant monitoring. Elephant monitoring has several conventional monitoring techniques. Those are as follows. Radio tracking, monitoring of elephants by helicopters and drones, direct observation through the binoculars. There are several limitations of conventional elephant monitoring technique. Direct observation can be time consuming and may not cover the whole area, so that the comprehensive understanding of an entire population dynamics will be missed. The radio tracking requires capturing of elephants and attaching the radio collar to the elephants, which is very tedious job. This is the most important part of this topic. This is human-elephant conflict. Human-elephant conflict is a major issue to the peoples residing near the forest regions. Human-elephant conflict is being influenced by deforestation, urbanization, as forests are being used by the humans. Elephant attack human settlements in search of food, which leads to the crop damage. Farmer suffers substantial economic losses due to crop damage caused by the elephants. There is a control for this elephant human conflict. Government has implemented effective deterrence as electric fences to deter the elephants from the human settlements. But there is a major drawback of this control. There is lack of awareness and collaboration between government agencies, and the elephants are being harmed by the electric fences. So again, we have considered acoustic-based monitoring for the elephants. To effectively protect and manage the elephants population, acoustic monitoring is very beneficial. Acoustic monitoring of elephants involves the use of specialized recorder system and analyzing the sound to know the actual location and the behavior of the elephant. Elephant shows notable acoustic features. Elephant generates infrasonic sounds below human hearing range. Those are called as rumbles. These rumbles are very strong so that they can be audible at a distance of 500 meters from the sound source. This makes elephants favorable for acoustic monitoring, as it enables detection of elephants even if they are not visible. Here comes to the summary of this topic. Here we have studied significance, values, and threats of biodiversity, monitoring of biodiversity and its limitation, acoustic-based monitoring of biodiversity and limitations, elephant monitoring techniques and drawbacks, human-elephant conflict, monitoring issues, and prevention through bioacoustics. Thank you for listening my lecture and feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.